Hey, hey there, all you practitioners. Sorry. Welcome to Trading Paperbacks.
We're your hosts. I'm Molly Muldoon.
And I'm Kel McDonald.
And Trading Paperbacks is a biweekly Twitch and podcast where we read and discuss different book series. It'll be live every other week. The following week, it'll be posted on both YouTube and as a podcast, hopefully soon. And how it works is we both pick a series our co-host hasn't read, and we take turns discussing them book by book. So, spoiler warning, we will be spoiling the books we discuss each episode. So if you don't want to know what happens, sorry.
Read the book first and then come back.
There you go.
I picked the Rivers of London series, which currently has 8 books in it and a couple of side stories. This episode, we are discussing the second book in the series, Moon Over Soho. And Molly, do you want to give a summary of Moon Over Soho?
I just hit my microphone. Yes, I would like to give a summary. So if you remember the first book, Rivers of London, it's about Peter Grant. He's our hero. I almost called him a heroine. That's not true. And he is the apprentice in a magic tradition. He's, as far as we know going in, he and his I don't want to call him master, commander,
his mentor,
that's the word I'm looking for, thank you, Cal, are the only, in theory, people who are practicing magic, and they work for the police, like a special division of the police. So at the end of the last book, his police pal got her face all torn up, which was really sad. And so it begins with us finding out that Leslie's face is still not great. And then the main plot lines of Moon Over Soho are the A plot line is that jazz musicians are dying at a strange rate. They are dying right after gigs, which is weird. And Varlet says I don't have any audio. That's no good. I would like audio, please.
Yeah, that's no good at all.
That's no good at all. Also, hi, Varlet. Let's see. This is why we have cool people in chat. So that this, yeah. What are you doing? Microphone. Okay, now it sees my microphone. It still doesn't hear you, though. Why doesn't it hear you?
Because I don't know.
Oh, now it hears you.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Well, it's a good thing that we're both streaming this. So anyway, because the audio on my end was all
fine.
So yeah,
good. Thank you, Varlet. So plotline of Moon Over Soho. Peter is investigating kind of 2 cases. One is that jazz musicians are suspiciously dying right after gigs. Not to an extent that like people have noticed, but he notices because he comes into contact with one. And then also
it's more. It was because of like the his mortician friend noticed and brought him in
of the one body.
Yeah.
But it's in theory it's been happening for longer than that. This is they just happen to notice. Yeah. And then the secondary plot is that people are being killed by what they're calling the Pale Lady, who was kind of hinted at the end of the first book, which is a lady who eats people's penises off and then they die of blood loss.
Yep.
They're all horrible people, so it's okay? ? Maybe not the dying, but at least no good people seem to have been afflicted by this woman. And so those are kind of the 2 main mysteries happening as we read Moon Over Soho. Kel, how do we want to go about it? How do we want to...
Well, let's talk about A-plot case number 1 first.
Okay, our jazz musicians.
Yes.
Okay,
where he is the jazz police.
My favorite part of the storyline of, and which Kel is mentioning, is that he runs into these guys. Well, there are the band members of the first got murdered person.
Victim.
Heart attack,
victim.
Jazz died guy. Words. He interviews them, and they're all just kind of like nerds. They're all just kind of nerds that want to hang out with him. And then they just start calling themselves the Irregulars, which I love. And they're adorable, and they just kind of follow him around. Or if he has to go to Jazz things, which he frequently has to do because he's investigating Jazz murders, they're usually there because they also like jazz. And they call him the Jazz Police, which is very funny.
Yeah. And in the audiobook, the guy reading the audiobook like draws out jazz because they first say it when they're drunk. And then kind of just do impressions of them their drunk selves every time they say it afterwards.
It's very good. They're very funny. I like them very much. And he kind of so his dad, Peter's dad, was a very, very famous jazz musician who has since
I feel like his dad is like, he's not so much famous, but he's like a musician's musician.
He's jazz famous.
Yeah, well, like, because it's like, I feel like his dad probably fills the role of, say, Jesse Ham in the comic industry, where a lot of us know him and like what he was posting before he passed recently. But I feel like there wasn't a big fan base for him. Like, some people knew him, but I feel like more creators knew him.
Yes, I thought that he was famous, but only like in jazz circles, which is kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, because fans that don't play jazz, like, are whatever her face, who we're going to talk about later, she knew who he was, and she doesn't play jazz. So I think it's more of like, if you're into jazz, you know him, but he's not like Miles Davis that everyone knows Miles Davis.
Yeah.
But he has gotten out of jazz because he lost his lip, which is just randomly
his teeth, because they said like
they say lip in this book, which
because
there
it was
are a couple
getting
times
dentures fixed it. So I thought that implied that his teeth was messed up.
No, it's something about because his dentures didn't fix it, because he still can't play, because he played trumpet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he still can't do the trumpet. I think it's something with his lip. I remember because it was weird.
Yeah.
And they full on said he lost his lip, and I'm like, he lost his lip? How do you do that? There's a couple times in this book where they just drop something, assuming that like they had said it before, and they clearly had not, and I'm like, wait.
I don't know where I got teeth then, because I just assumed that it was like a teeth thing, and then getting the dentures fixed it.
Maybe lost his lip is slang for something, but that's how they phrased it, which was very weird. But so he's teaching himself to play not piano, like keyboard. So that he can keep playing jazz. So Peter hooks his new buddies up with his dad so they can play together, which is very cute. I did it never came up, but I questioned it several times when I was like, Peter, you are investigating the death of jazz players that are doing gigs, and you are also encouraging your dad to start doing gigs again. Like, how are you not? Maybe be like, hey, Dad, I appreciate you, but maybe wait until I catch this thing.
The thing that I liked about this case is
I have a lot of problems with this case.
Okay, well, a thing that I like about it is that it's a case that Nightingale could not have solved.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff that, like, Peter catches on to things because, like, of his dad having been in the scene.
Just growing up with his dad, knowing everything.
Yeah, and whereas, Nightingale, as a, like, white guy who fought in World War II, like, is not gonna know all this stuff.
I agree with you on the jazz basis of this case. Everything else about this case I thought was kind of nonsense. Like, I like Peter in theory. But in this book, I was like, you dingus. Like,
that when Leslie yells at him because he's like, I don't know what to do next, and she's like, interview the goddamn band, you fucking idiot.
I don't think he gets anything done. He's such an idiot in this book. He's such an idiot in this book. He's good with jazz, and that's like it. Because he I have so many things where I'm like, Peter, what the fuck are you doing? Let me find. He just is bad with women just in general, it seems like. This tab I just wrote, gross, this is a suspect, Peter.
Yes, that was also my reaction to
this whole plotline we're about to talk about.
Well, to him like approaching this lady, and I part of me wonders if she has like whammy powers.
If they had mentioned it, I would be much better with it. But that is never a thing that comes up.
Because the other people that it's mentioned that she has dated were both people that were already seeing someone. So
but like I feel like if that were the case, hopefully they would have mentioned it, because we also meet one of her sisters. We are just talking around this right now.
Yeah, but, so there's a lady who was dating the victim, and it turns out she's
the original
a vampire.
Victim.
Yeah.
And he meets her because she's taken all her stuff out of his place. And while she's doing that, his fiance comes home, and they just kind of like look angrily at each other.
Peter's.
Not Peter's. They like look angrily at each other and then leave. And then he just keeps running into her while he's doing investigations, and she's like, "Hey, let's hang out."
Yeah.
And he's like, I guess so.
Because it's like, I thought there must be some whammy power that's going unmentioned. Because when he interviews the band, they talk about the guy she was with has a fiance, and he flirted with other ladies, but he never did anything beyond that until the vampire lady.
See, but what I read it as was he slept with a lot of ladies, but he never brought any to like his home and into his life other than the vampire lady. Like he never dated anyone else.
Oh, see, I interpreted it as he did not sleep with anyone until the vampire lady.
Because they mentioned not that he brings her home or anything, but he brings her to practice.
Yeah.
And so that is what I took as like, he didn't invite anyone else like into his actual life other than her. But so she just keeps running into him at first because a lot of things are happening in Soho, and Soho is very tiny. I used to hang out in Soho all the time. I took a lot of notes because there were just a lot of that matter not at all to you, Cal, that are just references to places I used to hang out and made me very happy.
Have you been to the bakery that the vampire lady likes?
Okay. I literally took a note because not only is it a bakery, it's a fucking chain in the UK. And it'd be like saying like, I really love this Subway. And I was like, Patisserie Valerie's everywhere. Like, what do you mean? And so I Googled it, and yeah, that's the original Patisserie Valerie, but now there's like 80 of them. And so I just was like, what is so special about this Patisserie Valerie? Because I'm like, I've also
Patisserie Valerie.
Apparently, I've eaten in a million Patisserie Valeries because they have really good cake. They also have lunch. You can get lunch there. But it was just really funny to me. Like, I literally do have a sticky note that just says, is this the origin of Patisserie Valerie?
Yeah. So I assumed that Vampire Lady had whammy powers, and also assumed that guy wasn't cheating on his fiance until the Vampire Lady. So.
Didn't. I read it differently. Yeah. Which, like, I mean, I guess I hope she has whammy, because I want Peter not to be this much of an idiot.
I mean, he's an idiot, but
he is an idiot, but this is pretty dumb. Like, even for him.
Yeah, that was kind of my reaction. This is dumb even for him. Maybe she has whammy powers.
And I just don't understand this boy, because she shows up a couple of times and he just kind of lets her follow him around. And then they're investigating one. I have a sticky note for it because I was very upset about it. Let me find it. So many sticky notes. So they're at like a well, I liked it first because she quoted Pirates of Penzance and I thought that was delightful. But then she just goes like, they're at a club, I guess. They're investigating a club that's closed during the day, and she's like, let's dance. And he's like, okay. And then they dance, and then they just are together then for forevermore. They sleep together all the time. Peter doesn't seem to think of the fact that, like, she was the last person potentially to see the guy he was investigating death. He doesn't. Yeah, my next note says, gross, this is a suspect, Peter. Which he just doesn't, I think, see her as a suspect for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I just, like, if there was some hint of, like, he was being overwhelmed, I'd be okay with it more. But there's really not one.
Yeah. If she does have whammy powers, it definitely should have been more explicit.
It's never mentioned. And I'm just like, Peter, what the hell are you doing? You're such a weird. Aw. Kel just dropped a very cute thing in chat.
I that's what I'm drawing on my chat.
It's very cute. It's just, it makes me so upset. And also, and here's the only reason maybe Nightingale might have been helpful in this. The very first time this happens, I made a note. Let me find it. It is on page 74. She has randomly run into him on the street yet again. And let me find it. They're talking about jazz, and apparently she's a freelance jazz correspondent. Sure you are, kiddo. And he goes, what do you write about? And she goes, jazz, of course. The London scene, music, gossip. Most of my work goes overseas. To the Japs mainly. Very keen on jazz, the Japs
Yeah,
are.
so I feel like racism. We got some racism in
literally my note says, this is an awkward slur. Is she from World War II?
Yeah.
And guess what she is?
Yeah, she is.
And so, like, I just, like, maybe Nightingale would have caught that.
I feel like Peter should have caught that, but
he's focused on different racism.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I didn't even, it made me mad at Peter. And I wanted to like Peter a lot. I usually like Peter a lot. But I'm like, you're being such a dumbass. And a combination of him being dumb about this and also being dumb about letting his dad start gigging when he's chasing people that kill people who are gigging. Like, put two and two together, my boy. It's just, it's like Leslie's gone and he can't do anything. And all the descriptions of women made me really uncomfortable. Like, they meet, this is my very first note, just says gross woman description. They meet Peggy, who is one of our jazz vampire's sisters, but we don't know that at the time. And she is described as, in her heels, she was almost as tall as I was. The dungarees gaped at the sides to reveal a strip of pale skin and a frilly line of scarlet knickers. It's like, what? Why do we need to know that? It's a girl that you're going to talk to for 2 seconds. Like, a girl sitting on a couch. Like, I don't know. It was really, that's when they call themselves the Jazz Police, which is very nice.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just, I was getting very frustrated with him almost constantly. Farlett just asked if you play a jazz concert in an aquarium, is it a fish gig? Which makes me very happy.
That's very good. That's a good joke.
But yeah, like that, I liked I liked that Jazz was the way that Peter figured things out. I liked that.
I like that his mom saved him.
I like that his mom saved him because she recognized the girl. She recognized his girlfriend as that woman who tried to steal your dad before you were born, which is great. But like, and I liked that like they were from World War II, and they, in theory, died in a horrible accident, but then really like just hung around and were like vampires without their own knowledge of being vampires.
Yeah.
Like they were just kind of accidentally feeding on people.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a good idea, but also at the same time, for them being kind of the main female characters of the story for this book, because Leslie's not in it, Beverly's not in it. Really the only other female character in this one is his mom, and she's not in it a ton.
There was weirdly... that one like jazz agent lady, but it's and she's the lesbian cop who I like.
I do like the lesbian cop. But I forgot that she's in this more. I do like her a lot. But I didn't like that as like the main woman of this book. She was very childlike.
Yeah.
And she also like
doesn't have a whole lot of a personality.
She doesn't have a personality other than wanting to have fun and sleep with Peter and liking Jazz. And then like it comes out that it's like they're doing it accidentally. They don't have any memory of it. So why should we kill them? Because it's kind of like they're like children. They don't know what they're doing. It's just, it really didn't hit well with me. I didn't really like that of it. I wish it was handled better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like there were the bones of a good mystery in there, and I did not. Well, and then the other B plot line is this pale woman who is eating men's penises. But then she gets in a chase with Peter and falls to her death. Well, Peter pushes her with a spell, but and the Trocadero, which is very funny because the Trocadero is hilarious. But then ultimately she's also nothing. Like,
yeah.
We don't find anything else about her other than she was doing this ostensibly under somebody's command.
Yes.
And we don't know anything about her. Now she's dead. So I don't know. It felt really weird, the book this time around. I wish...
And it's like the B plot is more important than the A plot. And I feel like that's what makes it weird.
It's definitely setting up something. And I like what it's setting up. It's setting up that there is this, unbeknownst to Nightingale, who's been around this whole time, there has been someone that remembers magic and has been teaching people in Magdalen College in Oxford. And one of them is like gone rogue. It's like a bad magician now.
The ethically challenged magician.
The ethically challenged magician. Peter takes offense at saying a black magician.
Yeah, that is the joke that I remember. That and one other joke that I think is in the next book are the two jokes I remember best from the early books. Is the ethically challenged magician and rather than black magician. And then the next one, we'll get to it.
Okay. I really enjoy the setup to the ethically challenged magician that they call him the Faceless Magician because he does a spell where even if you look him in the face, you can't remember what his face looks like.
Yeah.
And at one point, Peter kind of manages to get a glimpse and he realizes he's wearing like a beige mask over his face anyway, so you can't see it.
Which probably helps people not remember his face.
Probably. But I really like that. Like, that setup seems really interesting, and I really liked when they went to Oxford and talked to the guy who, like, reads the reports that Nightingale sends, and it's just because he's the archivist, but clearly he has a lot of memories of things. They go and visit the old school where Nightingale learned all his magic, and they see just, like, this...
we get some Nightingale tragic backstory. All his
Well, I
friends
was gonna
are
say,
dead.
I really liked they have this memorial where they scratch people's names if they died in a war, and it's like a couple, and then it's World War II, and it's like the whole wall.
Yeah, and Nightingale put all those names in there.
And you find out that was he did it, the whole thing. Like that was really nice. I really like it hit well. It didn't feel like tragedy for tragedy's sake. It felt like it I don't know. I think also because like all of us, like our grandparents' generation fought in World War II. So like all of us have touched it somehow. So it does hit in a way that it wouldn't if it were a different war.
And I just sent you a sketch of Nightingale.
I saw it. I really like it. I like that I guess I could show them on screen, couldn't I?
Yeah.
Can I, folks?
People watching my stream are getting these as they happen. I gave Nightingale kind of Sherlock Holmesy look.
There's Peter holding his little, what are they called? I just read this book. Thank you.
It's Lux, because that's Latin for light. I took Latin in high school, so.
Makes a lot of sense. It's Lumos. Oh, wait. It would be helpful if I did that so they could actually see what I was showing you. There we go.
Yeah.
There he is. And then there's Nightingale. Very good. What else do I want to talk about in this book?
So what'd you think about like our small check-ins with Leslie?
I like Leslie a lot. There's a part of me that wishes she were the main character of these books. At least she wouldn't sleep with a suspect. I feel really bad for her. So her face is messed up. And they try to.
And she can hardly talk.
She can. At the beginning, she can't talk. She has to talk through like a app. And now she can kind of barely talk. She just keeps having surgery after surgery. Mm-hmm. And let's see if I can find the bit where they describe what her face looks like. So this is the very, very end of the book. Well, the first time she takes her mask off so Peter can see what had happened to her face. And this is after several surgeries and stuff.
So it was worse before.
And it says, it was worse than I had imagined. So bad that my mind couldn't accept that it was a face at all. The chin was gone. Instead, the skin below a grotesquely full lower lip slid away in a series of uneven lumps until it reached the smooth, undamaged skin of her throat. The nose was shapeless, flat, a twisted knob of pink flesh that sat in the center of a series of ridged white scars that crawled across her cheek and forehead. I flinched. If I hadn't been holding myself rigid, I would have recoiled against the breath of the shelter. Like, oh, Leslie, you don't deserve this. I'm like, I guess I'm glad that it made a point of like, if something bad happens, it won't be magically fixed.
On that note, I did also like that Nightingale is taking a long time to recover. Like,
yeah, he's still very, very hurt from the events of the
he
first
pushes
book.
himself too hard and like has to be hospitalized.
Yeah.
And Molly, their weird supernatural maid, is mad at Peter for
making him still get hurt.
Yeah.
Speaking of Molly, let me find one of my notes. Where is it? So we had a discussion last time that Jen brought up that she thought that Molly was Asian, and we officially have proof she's not.
Yeah, so that's why when Jen brought that up in chat, I responded with, I didn't read her as Asian, but I am probably taking future book knowledge and applying it to first book.
And I hadn't read her as Asian, but that's just because
her name is Molly.
That's part of it. But yeah, it full on says she was a strange young European girl. So, who like lived under some crazy Canadian magician from the turn of the century, and has been with Nightingale ever since. Well, it's been in the Folly ever since, but mostly with Nightingale. And so I like Molly's backstory. I like that it's basically implied that she is the same thing that the Pale Lady was.
Yeah.
But she's just been living in the folly and taking care of people, so she's
So
kind of
like,
going against her nature.
so the investigation with the pale lady, like, because there's her who's getting manipulated by the faceless man, and then there's like the tiger guy.
Yes, I forgot all about the tiger guy.
And I only remember the tiger guy because they make a big deal about cat girls.
Yes, they do. I do have that one. I do have that page bookmarked.
Real cat girls.
But they don't know that they're real when they're first talking about, or like Peter doesn't. So there's a great one where he's like, "Do you know what a cat girl is?" And Peter goes, "From manga, girls with cat ears and tails. They're called Neko-chan, I think."
Yeah. He's like, "I'm a nerd. I know these things."
I laughed out loud at that. They're called Neko-chan, I think. I'm like, oh, bless you. Because, like, you read it as Peter, but then you also read it as Ben Aaronovich.
Yeah.
Being like, I know what this is. It's very funny to me.
Molly,
yes.
My favorite character is in this book, but only has like
the
3 lines.
Is it the ninja person?
Nope.
The person they keep calling the ninja?
I do like the ninja girl. She does come
I'm trying
back.
to think of who only has like 3 lines in this book. Larry the Lark is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the archivist guy?
Nope. You're never gonna guess it, so I can just...
Tell me.
The teen girl who's like, "Do you really do magic? Can you teach me magic?" And he's like, "Only if you learn Latin." She's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go learn Latin, and I'm gonna be back."
That is delightful. Oh, I did like that a lot. And he's like, "Probably shouldn't have done that."
Yeah.
That is very good. Okay, I'm glad that she's coming back. Of course she's coming back. How could she not come back?
Yeah.
Marla says, "How do you do, fellow manga enthusiasts?"
Yeah. She's my favorite, and also the newest side story that just came out is all about her.
Okay. Yeah, no, that was a very good, like, little bit right there. I like her a lot. I'm excited for her to pester more. Let me see what else I have not down. I have a couple things that just say ACAB. What do they say ACAB about?
There is a part where he talks about a phone book being the perfect thing to hit a suspect with without leaving a mark.
Is that one of the ones I know? Similar to that, I have one where it says, there are light taps for warnings, a full arm swing that's deliberately slow to make your suspect flinch back, and a sneaky slap to the thigh that isn't easy to see on news footage, which isn't great. Yeah. And then let's see. And then the bit where is this what I was saying? It's not unknown for police officers going into an interview to pad out their files with a few reams of fake paperwork. The better to convey the notion that we, the police, know everything already, so you might as well just save time and tell us what you know. Which isn't as bad as I...
Yeah, that one I feel like is more like, well, you gotta get them to confess or whatever, and that's more general manipulative. Whereas I was like, phone book, no bruises. Okay.
No. The one where it was like, here's where you could hit a person and they won't see it on TV, and I was like, don't like that. Let's see. Oh, and then our jazz vampire lady lives on Berwick Street, which is where my comic shop that I used to always go to was. So
the Johns were getting scared off.
Where the Johns were getting scared off, exactly. So it was like every time they mentioned Berwick Street, I was like, oh, Berwick Street. I spent a lot of time there. Okay, here's the thing. That is just randomly mentioned in this book, and I was like, I feel like you should have told me this ahead of time and not pretended I already knew this. So Post Martin, who is the archivist guy in Oxford that they go down and meet, he has a talk just with Peter while Nightingale's gone. And they're talking, and here, Peter says, I'd only recently gotten used to the idea that my governor was born in 1900 and had, according to him, been getting younger again since the early 1970s. That had never been mentioned before.
No, they did mention it in the first one.
When?
Because
I feel like I would have remembered that. I know that they figured out that he was. I know that they figured out he was born in the 1900s, but I don't remember the aging backwards bit.
I could have swore that it was mentioned in the first book.
I have no memory of
when
that.
he was in the hospital. Because he said that he got younger, or like something returned to him vitality wise. But
I do not remember that at all. So maybe they should have emphasized it a little more. But because like they just was like, oh yeah, you know, I was just figuring it out that blah blah blah, and I'm like, the what? I knew there was something going on. I didn't know that we knew that was what was going on.
I could have swore that they said that, but okay.
Nightingale thought it might be linked to the general increase in magical activity since the 60s, but didn't really want to look a gift horse in the mouth. I didn't blame him. Like, I don't remember this conversation, this ever coming up. I remember him being like, how old is he really?
When he was in the hospital after getting shot in the first book.
I do not remember that at all, but I don't know. Maybe I can see it being like a one-line thing, and I skimmed over it. But if it was a one-line thing, it should not have been a one-line thing.
Yeah, it was pretty important like a one-line thing.
I don't know. I felt weird about that.
I like when he first meets the archivist, and he notices the archivist is like writing things down. And he figures out a thing and tells the archivist like, how'd you know? And he's like, I can read your mind. and then Nightingale's just like, no, he just saw that you saw you writing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cute. Like, I really like the characters. I really like the setup of the Faceless Man. But like the actual mystery-y of this book just didn't quite. I kept waiting for it to like pull something over on me, and it never did.
Yeah, because I feel like it's partly because Peter doesn't really pay attention to the clues, where I felt like in the last book, we were getting like, if you were familiar with Mr. Punch, and then when they tell you it's Mr. Punch getting acted out, you can then go, oh shit, and like mind blown, like. Whereas this, it's more like, Nightingale couldn't have figured it out because he doesn't know jazz stuff. Peter isn't really paying attention enough to figure it out on his own. It's like Peter's mom solves the mystery because she just remembers the lady.
Yeah.
So that, this book is like
definitely
set up for everything that is like good about this book is like set up for
the next one. Marlet says Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah. And then
perfect.
I think also like one good thing, a nice thing that they sort of expand on in later books is when Peter asks Nightingale, well, what about magic from like China or Africa or anywhere that's not England? And Nightingale's like, I don't know.
Like he's embarrassed that he doesn't know.
He's embarrassed that he doesn't know, but it's also like showing Nightingale's blind spots culturally. And they do expand upon that. So like there is a reason why Peter is the main character, and it's because white folks wouldn't have necessarily noticed things that he's picking up. Or he's more inclined to ask those questions.
I liked that when he asked it, like Nightingale was like, I don't know, but he was like, you're right, I should have thought of that. Like,
yeah.
And also, like, to be fair, I think he's dealing with a lot of trauma still from World War II.
Yeah, he also had a lot of trauma, and
he also has like a shit ton of PTSD.
Like, yeah, so it's a way of like I think that that's a good way to like point out Nightingale's blind spot.
Yeah.
Why him and Peter make a good team when Peter's going to continue to, if he's going to be an idiot a lot of the time, but like Um, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So what do you think is Faceless Man's big plan?
I have no idea, and that is why I like it. I like when I can't automatically read into things. And let's see. There's a great bit. Okay. So Peter faces off with the faceless guy, and they kind of like have a fight, and then the faceless guy runs away because cavalry's coming, basically. And Peter's telling Nightingale, like, and then I got this guy, and I threw a fireball at him, and he caught it, and it was crazy. And Nightingale goes, this man has been trained by a master. Have you had any idea how many years it takes to practice at that level? The dedication and self-discipline you would have needed? You've just met one of the most dangerous men in the world. He clapped me on the shoulder, and you're still alive now. That's impressive. I just love that they were just like, oh, good job, buddy. You didn't die. Like, it's just really sweet. Like, them having a little bonding moment, because then afterwards it's like, he almost hugged me, but then he didn't. It was in that, for a terrifying moment, I thought he was going to hug me. But fortunately, we both remembered we were English just in time. Still, it was a close call. It's just really sweet. I like that they're buds.
Yeah.
I like that this guy clearly has a plan, but we don't know what it is. He's definitely like taking out all of the other people that knew about magic. That were in his like little dinner club in Oxford.
Only he can know about magic things.
He's the only one allowed.
Yeah.
So, and I like that he didn't know about Peter, because that makes me question if he knows about Nightingale. So you'd think if he knew about Nightingale, he'd have noticed that he took on an apprentice. And there is a reference that at least Nightingale and what's his name, Geoffrey Wheatcroft or something like that.
Yeah,
the guy that
trained,
that we think trained the
Faceless Man.
The Faceless Man. Sorry, I was pulling up your next picture onto stream.
Stephanopoulos, the lesbian cop.
I know, she's great. Love her. Like, it's implied that they knew each other and like went to school together. Yeah. So you would think he would know, but I know there's a question there. I like that there's a question there. I want to talk about Stephanopoulos, but I don't have much to say other than the fact that I love her.
I mean, she's just there and she's cool and she's good at her job, and that's really all I need her to do.
Yeah. She's just constantly annoyed with Peter, which, fair. I would also be constantly annoyed with Peter in this book. Peter steals an ambulance at one point and drives it to the Thames.
What'd you think about the dramatic ambulance chase?
I will say, for like being a written book about, like, being a written account of a car chase, it was pretty good to read. Sometimes those are extremely boring. Yeah. It also might help that, like, I know those streets really well. So the hospital that they always go to, UCH, I used to live across the street from it. So I know that area real well. I went to the university that is attached to that hospital. So it might help just that I could visualize it really well because I know those streets really well. But I also, like, streets are so narrow, and it did really make me nervous driving a ambulance higgledy-piggledy through them. Like, like, just I can just see him scratching every single parked car, and it just
When he talked about driving in Oxford, that's kind of how I felt, because
I've been Oxford.
I did live in Oxford for a summer, so I kind of knew the streets in Oxford that he was talking about, and I was like, oh no.
I know, it's not good to drive in Oxford. You want to walk in Oxford. Yeah, they drive a lot of places that I was like, I would not drive there. I would just walk or take the tube.
So the pale lady, like, so when they're looking for the penis eater, it's
Yes.
the river guy that calls her a pale lady, and he calls her that because that is a specific type of like ghost slash monster, which is supposed to be their like vengeance ghosts.
Okay.
And so that would explain why, like, it says that like her victims were random but like had a certain MO, but then there was the one guy that the faceless man told her to go after, which was
I think
his
there were
ex-colleague.
two that she went after. Because she went after the guy
But
that was in the
because there was one who was
bathroom
General
stall.
Clubber. There's one who's like General Clubber guy, and those are the guys that she like goes after when she doesn't have orders.
Yeah.
Um,
She like killed, like in the course of this book specifically, she killed like 4 people. 2 of them were like random Clubber guys, and 2 of them were connected to the Faceless Magician.
Yeah.
So she's just chilling. She's just doing her thing. Honestly, can't really blame her.
Yeah.
Killing a lot, getting rid of some date rapists in there. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
You know, if you're if you're gonna kill someone,
if you're gonna bite someone's penis off,
yeah,
then have we got a someone for you? Yeah, I just wish there was like she was such a big part. I wish that like she didn't just die in a chase. I wish there were more to that, but what you gonna do?
I don't know if she could talk, because none of the people that survived, they like said that she didn't talk or whatever.
I know, but that was what made me curious about what would happen if they caught her. But we'll never know. They just killed her off. Which is too bad. And they've killed her off in like this like weird arcade in the middle of downtown London that no one's ever in, which is great because I've been there twice, and it is just a weird arcade in the middle of London that no one's ever in. So what a weird, perfect place for there to be a chase. Oh, I know what we can talk about. We can talk about my weird cover of my book that I have. So yeah. I'm gonna pull up the book cover. So the book cover that I have on my screen is kind of the cool covers that I like and think are really cool. The ones that are like a map of London with words, and then they're kind of highlighted the area that most of that story is taking place.
The book think that all the books after this one keep the English covers in the US.
Good, because they are better. Yeah. The one that I am holding in my hand, if you can see me on screen, looks like a very generic action cover. It came to the library and I was very disappointed. I was very mad at it. It's just like a black
Riot
outline.
Also Midnight Riot also kind of has a cover like that.
The Midnight Riot cover I got was the Rivers of London cover, just it said Midnight Riot. But this one is the original. You can see the Midnight Riot cover on the back, that the other one that they did. But oh, Varla points out, and it's very true, they're very dog tag-esque O's in the font they're using for this one as well, which is very true. Like it looks like a military thriller, the way that they've put this. There's like explosion happening and the outline of a dude. And the font is very military. It is not the vibe of the book at all. There's no there's covers. Whimsy in these books, and there's no whimsy in this cover whatsoever.
Right.
And so when I was looking up stuff about these books for the last one, they talked about these covers, and it turns out that they got in a lot of trouble for the covers that they were doing, because as you may have picked up in what we were talking about, Peter Grant, our hero, is half black. And as you notice in this cover, it's just the silhouette of a man. And there was complaints that the reason they weren't putting an actual person on the cover is because they didn't want to put a mixed race person on the cover of these books, and racist reasons.
Yep.
Which, like, also they're just bad covers. Like,
yeah, so I can sort of understand the thought behind the military vibe, because I told you that I found this book because I was reading the Dresden Files, and they're like, if you like the Dresden Files, you should read this book. And because with urban fantasy, Dresden Files is kind of king, as far as popularity wise goes. So, the Dresden Files, a running joke in the books is that Harry Dresden doesn't wear a hat because on all the covers of the Dresden Files, he is wearing a fedora. But the reason is because they're trying to visually convey it's noir mixed with fantasy. So see, he has the detective fedora and then he has the magic staff on all the covers.
Sure.
And so when going, okay, well, he's actually a cop, not a PI, then that means he's more official. So they probably, that is maybe why they were leaning more into the military look. Not quite understanding, like, this is not that book.
No, not at all.
Yeah, no, they're completely bad for the series, but I can understand why a marketing person who has not read the book is like, well, we're trying to get people who like the Dresden Files to read this, so it needs to look action-y.
I guess.
Whereas the reason why I like these better than the Dresden Files is because they are not action-y.
Yeah. There's definitely like a whimsy to this that this cover does not get across in any way, shape, or form. It's real bad. It's just real bad. The cover that is on my stream right now is the much better British cover.
Yeah. I got a lot of opinions about urban fantasy book covers, because a lot of them are not very good.
Because they have to get the urban part of the urban fantasy down.
But it's also a lot of them, like, they're so into, like, well, we need to make them look like serious books. So they're like a portrait of a person in a leather coat, and they almost never tell you what's actually going on.
Also, I'm sorry, but a portrait of a person in a leather coat doesn't scream serious to me.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
And I just drew a Somali ninja girl whose name is Galid.
She is delightful, and I'm assuming she's in future books. She is kind of right in the very back of this one, introduced kind of right at the end. So I'm looking forward to more of her, because I very much enjoyed her. She works on the murder squad.
Because, like, a running complaint he has is that there isn't really manpower, and, like, 2 people do not a police department make. So there starts to be, like, cops that aren't wizards that, like, are at least informed enough to help out. And so when Stephanopoulos and Galid come back, that's kind of their role. Like, they know about magic and know what to do, but they are not able to cast spells and shit.
Cool. I'm excited for them to be in more, because I like them very much.
Yeah. They kind of stay the type of role that Stephanopoulos has in this book, where she's there and she's competent and helps out, and exchange some zings with Peter.
That's very fair. Well, good. I am looking forward to reading the next one. I already have it from the library because it was in, and I wanted to check it out while I could. And so, but let me pull up our little thingy so I can look at it.
Our little ending tag too.
So that is what's it called? Moon Over Soho.
Is the Elite. Oh yeah. So the next one is The Elite by Kiera Cass. It's the second book in the Selection series.
Who knows what will happen then?
Yeah.
So that's my pick. That'll be not next week, but 2 weeks from now, Monday, August 2nd at 7. So there's time to read. Apologies in advance for love triangle-ness in that book.
Yeah. I'll probably want to throw what's his name in the trash.
And that's fair. We all do.
Yeah. I'll just throw that guy in the trash.
Aspen,
yep. I'm trying to think if there's any other stuff like about Moon Over Soho that I want to like bring up
before we disappear.
The quick scene with Lady Ty. That's why Lady Ty is my favorite of the River People. She has a lot of scenes like that where
you just pop in for a second. And she tells you like, gossip and then you disappear.
At Peter and like gets him like she's like wielding political power against him. She wants
I like
to
that
set
she
up
has a teen. I like that she has a teenager who just opened the door and was like, "Mom, a wizard's here to see you."
Yeah.
That was delightful.
Yeah. They're very good. And I think the next book, she's in it a lot. Ty.
We'll find out.
If memory serves me correctly. Anyway, next time, love triangles in the elite, throwing Aspen in the trash. Yeah. I have it on hold at the library. We're still it hasn't come off hold yet though, so that's
why I have 3 library cards. One for each county. Because I had to get this one from Washington County.
Oh, I remembered what I wanted to ask you while we're still here. Do we want to discuss the mystery of the Japanese cover for this volume of
my God, yes. Oh my God. Okay, so let me bring that up before we disappear. Like, this is ridiculous. I have to show you guys this. It's so silly. I found it earlier because like last time we talked about
we have the Shonen Nightingale on the Japanese
the cover for the Japanese one. So the cover for the second one, the title is The Wizard Without a Face, which I get it. Not really the point of this book, but sure. But who is the person on the cover? We cannot figure out who it's supposed to be.
And it's like, my best guess is maybe it's supposed to be one of the vampire ladies.
Maybe.
But
I have no idea who it's supposed to be. It's such a mystery to me. It doesn't say. Yeah. It says book 2. It says by Ben Aaronovich. Yeah, Aaronovich. Yeah. Who is this person? Who is this mystery person?
And like, maybe it is supposed to be the Faceless Magician, but they gave him a face, so like
defeating the purpose.
Yeah.
Like part of me is like, it's Howl from Howl's Moving Castle. Why not? Just chuck him on the cover of the book. It is very funny to me. I don't know who that is supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna enjoy just delving the depths of this mystery for the next few weeks in the series. Who is on the cover and what do they look like?
Yeah. This is off topic, but in your Discord chat, I sent you the Japanese cover for Color of Magic and Discworld, and that's wild.
Oh yes, you did, and that is also wild. I can't. Right. I have to go back pretty far to find it, but yes, I did see it, and it is very silly. Japanese covers, we love them.
Yes,
we will continue to plumb the depths of Japanese covers for future books.
Thanks everyone for watching. Join us 2 weeks from now. Also,
Kel, where can we find you in the meantime?
Yeah, that's right. We have ending things. When we aren't live, You can find everything that I do at kelmcdonald.com. I'm also on Twitch as Kel McDonald, and I'm on Twitter as Kelhound, which is spelled like Hellhound, but with a K.
You can find me on Twitch and Twitter as Passing Fair. I stream 3 times a week, except I didn't stream it all last week. I apologize. Varlet, I'm sorry. But I'm back. I promise. I'm streaming tomorrow.
And if you need to catch up on the show, I am posting them to YouTube. I haven't started posting them as podcasts yet because I haven't had time to edit the first one, which is going to be the only one that we edit. This is why we're not editing them. And are doing them live. Yeah, so they're on my YouTube at the moment, which is just Kel McDonald on YouTube. There's a nice playlist for people's viewing pleasure.
And I think that's it. So thanks for joining us, and see you in 2 weeks.